Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to the channel. We are here to rate our summer signings because we've seen a full year of them now. We've seen a lot of them. I think they've all had their part to play in the season. Some more than others. Yeah. Some have had injury concerns. Some have had form, start brilliantly, dip, whatever. We're going to break them all down.
Some are not ready.
And that is going to be a part of the rating system. So I want to make this kind of very clear, everyone. We're not rating their season, and there is a difference. We're not rating their season and how they performed. We're looking more at how much we spent for them, what we've got out of them this season, what we think we might get out of them going forward, what we maybe didn't get in order to get them as well.
Yep.
You think of some of the fees we spent, for example. So that's where the rating is. I mean, off the top of my head, actually, I was going to give an example, but you're going to see as we do the show. We'll get into it. So that's a reminder. We will be going through the transfer fees, what we spent, and all that. Before we do, I have a present for you. Because I know you...
Get that shit away from me.
I know you love the...
Get that away.
I know you love the old...
Did you go buy this top today?
Merch and all that. It came out today. There you go. What do you think of it? Look, the disgust on your face.
It's not a bad shirt, but
it's a nice shirt. Look at that.
You know what I think about merchandise. You know how I feel about merchandise. This season's another disappointment. Season's another disappointment.
Thanks for cheering up the stream. In all seriousness, guys, Robbie will be doing his usual kit review, thoughts on the shirt. It's out. You know what he does. He loves the shirt, going through the material and where the lines are and all that. That'll be coming out very shortly. Arsenal have released a new kit. I will say one thing: £5 for every shirt sale goes towards the Arsenal Foundation. They've been supporting local businesses. Obviously, it's a tough time with everything, and I'm sure Robbie will go into that in more detail on the show. But it's a nice shirt. It's a nice kit.
Listen, the argument is not nice kits. Nice kits don't win you trophies. The argument is the nice kits make the money for the owners, who in turn have assisted in the decline of this club.
Let's not talk about kits anymore.
You're about to start me off.
Let's go into the summer signings, where money was spent by the owners, in fairness, last summer. Did they need more? Did Arteta need more? Some of the quotes recently suggest that maybe he didn't quite get what he thought he was going to get in January. I think maybe a show for another day, but interesting to hear what he had to say on that. Let's go straight into them. Aaron Ramsdale came in for 24 million. We're not going in order of the signings. I'm kind of going from back to front, goalkeeper up the pitch.
Yep.
Came in for 24 million, fee rising to potential 30. We'll go with the 24. And really, from the moment he was available, I know he was on the bench for City. Obviously, we lost that game 3 in the bounce. He came in for Norwich. And we've not looked back. I mean, I think Leno's come in for 1, maybe 2 Premier League games, and that's it.
Yeah, 1, I think, and that's the Wolves away.
Was it Villa away? I think it was Villa away.
Was it Villa away?
Yeah, he definitely played at Villa.
Yeah, maybe it was. Anyway. It was one of them anyway. It was one of them. He came in and he made that save in the last couple of minutes of the game.
Yeah. I
think you're right. It probably was Villa. When we was first linked to him and when we first signed him, I can't lie to you, I thought, what is this club doing? So that's probably the best place to start off, because a lot of us felt like, why are we going for Ramsdale? Yeah. He's been relegated twice, he's not that good on the ball, like it's not an upgrade on Leno. What's happening with Leno? We just got rid of Martinez the year before. Why did we do that? But all of these questions were asked, so it clouded the move. But like you said, since he's come in, you're right, we haven't looked back, and in terms of our summer signings, he's probably been the most surprising of the lot.
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
He's probably been the most consistent of the lot as well. I know in the second half of the season his form has dropped off, and I know that's put into question his first half of the season, but I think when you look at it overall, I think consistency, efficiency, I think it's a welcome surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what was your thoughts when you first signed him?
So, I wasn't as dead against it. A little part of me thought, and this might be just the general naivety I live life with, but I just thought there's no way they're spending a potential 30 million on a guy if they're not absolutely sure. And I knew that this was a potential make or break summer for Arteta. So the fact that he was going to really, double down on this, I need Aaron Ramsdale, to the point where we pulled out of the deal and then we went back in for him. I thought, okay, there must be something. And yeah, his form has surprised me. I think what I've enjoyed about him is he's added things. Is he a better shot stopper than Leno? I'm yet to see that.
Yeah, that's a debate.
That's a debate. But I definitely see where we've been better from set pieces. And I don't feel like that whole situation is a complete mess every time we concede a corner or a free kick. And I definitely think we're passing out the back better, and I see where him and White and Partey are very important to that, and he's a big part of it. So if we're rating him out of 10, I mean, you'll have the final say. I kind of think his first half of the season was like a 9, and his second half of the season was a sort of 6. But again, we're rating the signing, not the season. Add to that he's 23 and will probably can play at this level for another 10, 12, 15 years maybe. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'd say overall, I'd give Ramsdale 7.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
7 for
I
me.
think 7's fair. I think the first half of the season, I'd say an 8. Second half of the season, I'd probably say 5/6.
Yeah.
A lot more average. And then you couple it up, 7. Like you said, young. He's good on the ball. He plays at the back. His character, I like a lot.
Yeah, that's another big thing.
At the end of a disappointing season, obviously, you look back at some of the moments that he's been over exuberant with his celebrations or whatever, and people laugh at it. I get that. But when you're, challenging, or when you're, going to win things, that type of character does help.
Yeah, I agree.
So credit to Ramsdale, because he came in under a cloud, under pressure, and he performed. So well done to him.
Brilliant. All right, well, let us know in the comment section. That is the important thing. And remember, guys, we are doing polls on AFTV VIP as well. So you'll be just look out for those. You'll get your chance to vote and give your ratings for these summer signings. Remember, we're rating the signing. We're going to keep making that point. We're rating the signing, not necessarily their season. There is a slight difference. Let's start with Tomiyasu. And I think Tomiyasu is a great example of what I mean. For what we've spent on him, the player we've got, but then he's had injuries.
Yeah.
Now, that would probably affect the player's season rating,
yeah,
but I don't think it impacts him as a signing, and he's been one of my favourite. How are you feeling about Tomiyasu?
Yeah, up until the injury, he was my favourite.
18 million came in for Barcelona from Bologna on deadline day.
Yeah, he was my favourite come his injury. Because again, I didn't expect much from him. Again, he came under a cloud. That reporter from Sky came out and said, he was offered to all these clubs and he's not really a right back, and all of this nonsense that the internet ran with and found banter with and all that. But he came in, hit the ground running, a welcome change to that position, because over the years we've had players in that position that have really jarred me, to say the least. So he came in, he was efficient. Aerially especially, that was somewhat of a surprise, because he doesn't tend to lose aerial battles. And don't get me wrong, a couple of games this season he's been on the ropes, but in the Premier League you're going to be on the ropes. The intensity of it, the physical nature, up and down, fast pace. So that's to be expected. But overall, I'm happy with Tomiyasu as well. I just hope that these injuries are not a sign of things to come.
I agree. Yeah. You just made a really good point there, again, to differentiate between their season and them as a signing. It's actually, as well, did they fill a much needed position? And when I see Tomiyasu, he's done well at left back when asked to cover. He's slotted at centre back 1 or 2 times, but at right back he's filled in a position that, it's been long overdue, the addressing of that position, and to get someone so versatile as well for 18 million. I mean, this is one of the higher ratings I would give. So I'm curious what you'd go with.
I know you're saying take the season out of it, but
well, not take it out of it, but
I'm worried about the injury.
Okay.
I'm worried because I just don't want it to be a sign of things to come. So that kind of holds back my rating a little bit, because with Ramsdale, I said consistency. He's been here the whole season, whereas Tomiyasu hasn't really been. So my rating for Tommy would be 6.
Really?
Yeah, even though come his injury, I'm definitely looking at 7s, potentially an 8. But that big injury, missing the amount of games he done at crucial time of the season, I think is worrying. So overall, I think it brings it to a 6 for me.
That's so interesting. Guys, again, let us know in the comment section. Check out the AFTV VIP polls when they come. I would have given it a 9 for pure what we spent and the player we've got out of him for quality, versatility, addressing certain position. But I completely hear what you're saying. So
I can stretch to a 7 because of the fee we spent. No one expected anything, but 6, 7 for me.
All right, cool. Let us know in the comments. Moving along to centre-back, Benjamin White. And the most talked about transfer, because we spent 50 million on him.
Yeah.
We spent 50 million on him in the summer, where Spurs bought Romero for, I mean, not far off to be fair, but 40 something mil. You've got Liverpool buying Canate. We know Chelsea are blessed. Man United signed Varane.
Yeah.
So that was why I think there was even more pressure on a player like Benjamin White. But again, came in at 23 years of age, Premier League proven, straight into the defence, had a tricky one against Brentford. But again, as a signing for what we've spent, and this is where I start to consider the other positions Arsenal might have needed to address.
Yep.
That's where it impacts my rating of him as a signing. And actually, if I were to rate his season, which we're going to do next week, it's a higher rating than I rate the signing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What are you going for?
What am I going for?
Yeah,
I've been underwhelmed, I'll be honest.
Okay.
At points this season, I can see what he's meant to bring. But look, at the start of the season when we brought him, the common consensus was he's a ball playing centre back. We need to play at the back. But I just haven't seen enough of it, if I'm honest. I don't think it's aided our attack as much as people thought it would in the summer. When you look at last season's statistics compared to this season, it's not far off. So I'm quite underwhelmed with that signing, because it's a 50 million price tag. Like you said, could that money have been better utilised in another area of the pitch? I think so. It's not he's been good, I'd say good. But when you're 50 million, you're already in this league. You don't need that bedding in period. I don't think good is enough for a high rating for me. So 50 million, I haven't seen enough in terms of his playing at the back and aiding our attack. So I'm going for 4.
4, fair enough. Let us know in the comment section. Do you agree with the 4?
What do you think?
For the signing and the money spent, I was looking at a 5. But a 5 for me is, again, it's fine, it's good. Like, I understand why a young ball-playing English centre-back who's probably got 10 years at this level can cost 50 million. I'm glad Arsenal did bring him in. When you look at where we've been short in more attacking areas, sure, you do ask the question, well, could it have been better allocated, those resources? But I will say I really like Ben White, and while I'm maybe looking at the 5 as more of a rating for the signing, I think his season has been generally pretty good. And at times he's been better than Gabriel for me. At times.
Yeah, he has been.
Yeah, so yeah, again, we'll put it to the comments.
Yeah.
Then we move on to Nuno Tavares, 7 million from Benfica. The first summer signing we had confirmed. We're talking about two-footed player who at one point got a bit of a run because of Tierney's injuries, and we were thinking, look at this, we're not stressing about Tierney's injuries anymore. But actually the way Arteta's felt about him for a lot of this second half of the season really impacts the way I rate that signing.
100%.
What are you thinking?
100%. If we was asked to rate Tavares after those games where he replaced Tierney and people was questioning whether Tierney comes back in, it probably would have been 7s, 8s.
Exactly.
People were that confident.
Especially for 7 million and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, again, the expectation was, the bare minimum, and he was over achieving the expectation in the first half of the season, being an adequate backup for Tierney. But when push comes to shove, the business end of the season, coming in and out, being subbed off at half time, it just doesn't bode well for him. I remember reading, he came from Benfica, right? I remember reading a lot of Benfica fans' comments about him. You can't rely upon him, very inconsistent, and I think we've seen that this season. So overall, when you look at the need for a backup to Tierney, because I'm going to bring this into it, we needed a backup for Tierney, and that needed to be one of the key areas we attacked last summer. We brought someone in, but come the end of the season when Tierney inevitably is injured, we can't rely upon him. So that speaks volumes for me. I'm tempted to go with 2. Let's say 2.
Do you know, I'd have gone for a similar thing. And the reason is, and I really want to hammer this point home, actually, in terms of talent and what we've got from him in terms of average performance throughout the season, I actually think he's been better than people are saying. I think he's become that laughing stock, or that Tavares, do you know what I mean? And I don't always think that's been fair. When you're a young player, was he 20, 21 or whatever, and especially in the Premier League, you're in, then you're out, then you're in, then you're out. And Arteta's fullbacks, 1 minute they have to overlap Smith Rowe, next minute they've got to be inverted to support Martinelli. They've got to both attack and defend, and there's a lot of pressure on him. And I thought he started the season really well. And actually, when he's come in, Man United, really good one half, awful the second. West Ham, really good one half, awful the other. But then he gets dropped for Leeds. Then he doesn't start the North London derby. He comes on, does okay. And I thought it was one of our better players against Newcastle. So, like, you just don't... But no one was really good. Let's make that clear. So I think he's... As a season, if I were rating him, I think it'd be much higher than a 2, actually. But because we needed, as you said, we needed to address that position. For 7 million, worth a gamble, you'd say. But at the same time, we needed reliability. If you can't rely on Tierney's fitness, then at least you've got to rely on the quality of the next person and the consistency.
Exactly.
So my rating of the signing is more on the way Arteta has managed him and how he's looked at him this season as someone he's not been comfortable to keep resorting to. And that might not be Tavares' fault, but it's the signing. And the signing comes down to Arteta's judgment and the money spent and all that. So I'm with you. I think probably the worst of the lot on that basis, that he's not really been trusted.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's his fault. But anyway.
So you agree with 2?
Yeah, I think so. Cool. Maybe a 3, because I think there's a player potentially there. But yeah, ultimately as a signing. Anyway, we'll see. But he might develop and improve, and we might.
It's a letdown in the end when we can't rely upon him when Tierney's injured. That's the facts of the matter.
And when you're in that key part of the season, and we're going, oh, do we maybe take Tomiyasu out of his best position because we're not sure about playing this guy? And I actually, and I'll keep saying it, I don't think that's Tavares' fault.
Nah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
We go on to Lokonga, who came in for... I've seen mixed figures. I'll go with the 18 million. That's the one I've seen a lot. Some people say it was rising to 22. Some people say it was as low as 13, 14 million. But the point is that a decent chunk of money went on Albert Sambi Lokonga. Obviously came in with high praise from Vincent Kompany. Then captained Anderlecht at a very young age and has had a call-up for the Belgium squad in the time he's been at Arsenal. And I think started more brightly than he's ended the season. I saw some interesting quotes from, I think, family members said, look, he's played upwards of 33% of games this season. That's more than we'd have expected. Took De Bruyne and Lukaku time to adapt to the Premier League.
Oh yeah, I heard
that. And I think I've seen enough talent there. But it's not about the talent. It's about what we needed to do in that midfield area.
I don't think I've seen enough talent.
Okay.
That's where we probably differ here. I haven't seen anything from Lokonga to tell me he's going to be a player. That's just my honest perception of it. And we haven't seen much of him. It's been sporadic throughout the season. But again, similar to Tavares, we knew we needed someone in midfield. Essentially, we wanted an upgrade on Xhaka, but with Guendouzi heading out the door, we brought in a young midfielder. To hear he's not ready towards the end of the season, or we can't rely upon him when Partey gets injured, again, I got to look at that and bring the rating down. I haven't seen much from him, even when he plays. And he came in with Yaya Toure saying, Vincent Kompany saying he could be the next Yaya Toure. He's a leader. From young he's been captain at Anderlecht and so on. So I didn't have high expectations for him, but I was intrigued by the signing because I didn't know anything about him. And Vincent Kompany's a legend in the Premier League, and you listen when he speaks. Yeah, it's worth listening. But to me, it just it hasn't worked out well yet. And I say yet because he's still young and he can still grow into it. I've read those quotes that you're talking about there, where they're happy with his game time this season and moving forward they're happy. In fact, that attitude, that mentality is the mentality that everyone at Arsenal should have. But business end of the season, El Nene comes in, and El Nene could have been the saviour had we got top 4. There was a 2-3 game period there where El Nene was a candidate for man of the match, and I wonder why Lokonga couldn't have come in and done something. Again, I have to look back at the summer window and that signing in particular and say we didn't do what we should have done. So 2 again for me with Lokonga. Interesting. See, with Lokonga, I'll keep it brief, but the early signs and the early things I saw against Brentford and Chelsea and his pre-season games and appearances here and there. Do you remember there was a spell where he was playing alongside Partey? We went to Leicester with them too, and I thought they formed a decent partnership. Lokonga was playing as more almost what Xhaka's doing now, kind of getting a bit more forward. Yeah. And those are where I saw his standout moments, the dropping the shoulder and beating 3 players on the press. And actually, you remember that Carabao Cup semi-final against Liverpool? He's the one who puts it over the top to Lacazette and he should score. He's shown moments actually in the final third as an attacking prospect or in a number 8 who gets forward. That's where I think we've seen the best of Lokonga. But Arteta's been really persisting with him being like the heir to Thomas Partey.
And it took Partey a year to get used to that role.
Yeah.
And with Lokonga, I think it's going to take time and maturing and learning. But also, I just don't think that's what he does best. I think he's got more skill and flair than we've seen because of the way Arteta's used him. I think, you've gone 2. I'd go kind of lower than 5, so maybe 4, because I think we're going to see a really good player from him in the coming years. Just at the moment, again, when you look at the fact we really needed a central midfielder to be that real upgrade and take our midfield on a few levels, he didn't fulfill that, and that, again, that's not his fault.
Yeah, and if I was to say to you now, he will be starting the first game of the season and he'll be starting all 38 games next season, are you confident about that off of what you saw this season?
You wouldn't be confident.
Yeah.
But if you said to me, James, in 3 years' time, we'll be talking about him as a real staple in the team.
Could be.
That wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, interesting. Again, we'll put it down to the comments, guys. That is the beauty of this show. And remember, look out for AFTV VIP, where all the polls will be going up, and you get to have your say on that. We're going to round it off with the final one. Martin Odegaard came in for 34 million. We had the trial shift, didn't we? We came in on loan for 6 months. At times flattered to deceive, at times brilliant. And I think you can say that about his season as well.
Yeah.
Although I think maybe we have got more consistency out of him. It's quite fun, isn't it? Because a lot of people talk about Odegaard's £34 million fee from Madrid as an absolute steal. For me, a steal is we got him for 15 to 25. 34 is still quite a lot of money to spend on him.
Amount, yeah.
But I understand, real proper number 10s can go for 50, 60. How do you feel about Martin Odegaard? A player I know you liked a lot at one point.
Yeah, I like Odegaard, but at the same time, that doesn't stop me from being a bit critical, because he hasn't been consistent this season. His form has come sporadically. Again, it's similar to everyone in Arsenal this season. Anyone that deserves any credit in terms of the players, from the young players to some of the experience, it's been sporadic. No one's had a consistent season. The most consistent season has probably been for Ramsdale. Aside from that, everyone just had their moments here and there. And even Ramsdale, towards the end of the season, would you call that consistency? Probably not. Odegaard, he's a quality player, cultured. You get him on the ball, he can do things. But at times this season, he's been marked out of games, he's been absent, he hasn't really got on the ball much, he hasn't created much, and that's what he's coming for.
Can I ask you something? Do you think that's because there isn't another Odegaard on the pitch? And what I mean by that is, if there's another real creative outlet out there, another player who can get in the box, can make things happen in the final third, do you think maybe the opposition don't think it's all on Odegaard?
Probably. If we had a striker out there that was a threat, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, they'd have some more space to work with. Some of the attention of the opposition would be diverted to other areas. At this moment in time, it's quite easy to nullify Arsenal. Vieira showed how to do it that first game after international break.
Twice, man.
And a couple of other clubs have done the same since, and it really does nullify Arsenal. So there's problems there. I think Odegaard's best form came when Partey was just behind him, and he found a relationship with both Partey and Saka, and it was working so well. And Partey gets injured, and then from there it kind of all went pear-shaped in terms of the system we were seeing. I think he's a quality player. He will be quality for years to come, but we need to see more.
I think he needs more as well.
Yeah, he does need more. What would you give him?
6.
I actually put 6 as well.
Yeah.
I actually put down 6 as well. Mentally, I put down 6. I think that's fair. I was tempted to say 5 because I know he's better than what he's shown this season. But I'm going to say 6 because at the end of the day, last summer, I don't think we done enough around him or around the other areas in terms of depth, in terms of quality, to really give any of these players a definitive rating. It's hard to when there's so many holes, there's so many gaps.
Yeah, it's harsh. I'm now thinking more 7, but it's in that ballpark. I think the 8s, 9s, and 10s. People wondering, well, what you got to do to be an 8, 9, or 10? I think you've got to have. You need to have made a real difference, and then you include fee. That's why Tomiyasu was so high for me. That I can just so see where we're so much better with him. And the fact we paid 18 million for him just shoots me up. Like I think you'll struggle to find better value for business around value for money around the Premier League. Whereas an Odegaard has been very, very good for us at times. At times not always there. And we spend a pretty considerable chunk.
Yeah.
So it's hard. listen, we're having a bit of fun.
I think 6 is fair, if I'm honest. I think 6 is fair. When you think we finished the season 5th, there isn't any 8s, 9s or 10s for me across the squad this season. Well, you can look at the young players like Saka and Emil. Martinelli, he's even being inconsistent, if we're being real with ourselves. There's a few players that, they stuck their head above the pit, but in all reality, we finished 5th, we finished behind Tottenham. It's hard to really rate any player above a 7.
With a lot of these players we've rated, the things we're saying, you can see where add some extra quality and depth, and it can kind of elevate all of them. For example, Lokonga, probably a much better rating if he came into a side that had the experience, everything around, and he could just do his thing. We'd be going, look at that gem we've picked out.
Instead, we're looking at all of them because we're looking at all of them like, how are you going to change the last 2 8th place finishes? There's a degree
of real responsibility. With White and Gabriel, it's like we need them fit. But say Saliba was part of the squad, then it'd be like, White's done really well. And then, when Saliba comes in, and it's kind of just lifts the pressure off them.
The club exposes them more by doing what they're doing.
I think when you look back at the Project Youth and everything, ultimately I like the 6 signings we've made. And ultimately I think most will have a good future at Arsenal.
I'd say Ramsdale, Odegaard, Tomiyasu and Ben White, for me, have done enough for me to say they'll be part of this club moving forward. Tavares and Lokonga next season's, in my opinion, is a big one for them. Because I need to start seeing some more, for sure.
Yeah, I hear that. Signing of the season then for you?
Ramsdale, because of the surprise, no one expected it. I looked at it like, what is this club doing? I dismissed it straight away, and look at me now. I'm saying, I'm content with him there. I'm happy with some of the performances this season. A lot of them early clean sheets that we had didn't necessarily come from a good defensive unit, because he had to make some outstanding saves at points throughout that first season. So a lot of them clean sheets, I look at him as well, and I say, So for me, out of all of them, Ramsdale, but it should be Tomiyasu had he not got injured.
Fair enough. My vote goes to Tomiyasu. Again, that will be a poll that is coming on AFTV VIP, so look out for all that. We're going to round off there. How do you rate the signings? I think naturally how the season's gone always plays a part, but remember, guys, we are looking at how much we spent on them, how much they've played this season, and I guess what we've got to do. It's a feeling, when you look back, and what do you think we're going to get from them going forward? Because the investment doesn't end after a year; it goes on for the length of their contract and maybe more. So let us know in the comment section, guys, what you rate the 6 summer signings. Reminder: Aaron Ramsdale, Takehiro Tomiyasu, Benjamin White, Nuno Tavares, Albert Sambi Lokonga and Martin Odegaard all arrived last summer. We didn't do any business in January. Would have been nice to have a January signing.
Definitely would have been.
Talk about. And you know what? Might have been talking about our first 8 or 9 who would have been the difference maker, and that's what we were looking for. Never happened. Guys, get your ratings in the comment section below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and check out all the content coming ahead of the Everton game, but also all the content coming out from next week. There's a lot going on, from player awards to what we want in the summer to everything, usual end of season stuff, all coming up. So we're getting that prepped and look forward to bringing that to you very soon. Big thanks. See you next time.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.